Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. On Tuesday, President Volodymyr Zelensky hailed advances by Ukraine's troops near the long-besieged city of Bakhmut in the east and on the southern front. Meanwhile, the Russian despot Vladimir Putin has threatened that his war with Ukraine could turn nuclear. At a meeting with Russian war correspondents in Moscow on Tuesday, Putin said, "In the event of a third world war, there will be no winners, including America." Ukraine is in the early stages of its long-anticipated counteroffensive, which was originally expected to take place during the spring. Although officials in Kiev have remained tight-lipped about the details of these operations, President Zelensky confirmed earlier in June that the assault against Moscow's troops was underway. Thanks to everyone who is fighting, who protects and advances our positions. For example, the Bakhmut sector. It is, in particular, the soldiers of the 80th Separate Brigade of the Ukrainian Air Assault Forces. There is forward movement in various areas. I thank you. Thank you for your extraordinary bravery. The Tavria divisions, in conditions of extremely fierce fighting, where the occupiers have air and artillery superiority, there is forward movement. Thank you, soldiers. Thank you for every step and for every meter freed from Russian evil. Ukraine said it had seized control of several towns and villages along the southern front with Russia in recent days, which appears to be corroborated by a map published on Wednesday by a Twitter monitoring account, War Mapper. Videos are emerging showing the road into the newly liberated Ukrainian village of Storozheva, lined with the corpses of Russian soldiers and burnt-out armoured vehicles. The grisly scenes bear witness to the ferocity of fighting as Ukrainian troops recaptured Storozheva and several other villages in the past few days as part of a counter-offensive in southern and eastern Ukraine. Some of the dead Russian soldiers lay on the dusty ground beside the husks of their vehicles when journalists reached the village on Wednesday. Others were crumpled in the grass and fields nearby where they died. 3 days ago we liberated Storozheva village. You can see for yourselves how it was achieved. You can see the destroyed hardware. Glory to Ukraine. A photograph posted online on Monday showed Ukrainian soldiers holding up the yellow and blue Ukrainian flag in front of a damaged home in Storozheva. The village had been occupied by Russian forces since March 2022, 1 month after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. The soldiers said about 50 Russian soldiers were killed in a mopping-up operation and 4 were taken prisoner. Reuters was unable to verify the number of Russian casualties, although corpses were still strewn across the road and nearby fields. Storozheva is one of a cluster of settlements near the Mokry Yali River that Ukraine says its troops have captured since their counter-offensive began. Polish Defence Minister Mariusz Błaszczak has signed contracts for the purchase of 24 Baobab K mine-laying vehicles and a supply of mines. Błaszczak said after the signing in Stalowa Wola, southern Poland, that the Polish-built Baobabs and mines would be delivered between this year and 2026. Błaszczak said the purchase of the Baobab vehicles was another step in the modernisation of the Polish army. The Polish armed forces are gaining in strength through increased recruitment and access to modern weaponry, he said. The equipment was designed by Polish engineers and manufactured by a consortium led by Huta Stalowa Wola, Velma, Jelcz and the Military Engineering Institute. So we have the result of the work of a Polish armament group and Polish technical thought. Manufactured by a consortium of PGZ companies led by the Stalowa Wola Steelworks, the two-man Baobab is designed to lay anti-tank mines. The vehicle can carry 600 mines and has a laying speed of 5 to 25 kilometers an hour. It can lay minefields up to 1,800 meters long and 180 meters wide using a self-generated digital map of the mined terrain. 6 launchers are placed on the chassis of a Jelcz truck, allowing 600 anti-tank mines to be set in a very short time. The high automation and precision of this equipment makes it possible to set up a barrage through which no aggressor can pass. This constitutes a very strong argument in our policy of deterrence and defence of the country. Poland was the main topic of another debate in the European Parliament. This time the subject was the law against inappropriate Russian influence. The European Commission launched an infringement procedure against Poland last week. The law provides for the appointment of a commission to investigate whether the opposition Civic Platform Party allowed the country to be unduly influenced by Russia and, as a result, to become too dependent on fuel supplies from Russia when it was in power. Mateusz Morawiecki, the Polish Prime Minister, has said that candidates to sit in a commission to investigate Russian influence in Poland will be named only after amendments tabled by the Polish President to the law are passed. The law, which gives the Commission the power to ban people from public office for up to 10 years, came into force at the end of May, only to run into a storm of controversy. Its critics argue that, in particular, it could be used to exclude opposition politicians such as Donald Tusk, the leader of the biggest opposition party, from this autumn's general election. In a possible attempt to diffuse some of the criticism, on the 2nd of June, President Andrzej Duda submitted his draft amendment to the Sejm, the lower house of the Polish parliament, which provides that the new body will not have the power to ban anyone from holding public office. The Liberal Civic Platform Party, in government from 2007 to 2015, rejected the claims and maintains that the law is designed to destroy support for its leader and former Prime Minister Donald Tusk, ahead of an election scheduled for October or November. Liberal MEPs, as well as the Liberal Commissioner from Belgium.
Following a thorough assessment, the Commission decided on the 8th of June to open an infringement procedure against Poland. Among others, the Commission considers that the new law violates the principle of democracy as well as the principles of legality and non-retroactivity of sanctions. Poland has been given 21 calendar days to reply to the letter of formal notice. And since our last debate last Monday in Libe, I have continued to exchange with the Polish government, with the Minister of European Affairs, and I want to inform you that I have received different comments about the fact that now there is a series of amendments tabled to the Polish Parliament to change such a law, and with an important decision to not select members of the Commission until the new law, so the new amendment, will enter into force.
The idea of an investigation into Russian influence in Poland has been dismissed with comparisons to Turkey's Erdogan.
These are classic autocratic tactics. We have seen and discussed many of those here in the past, but the latest and most extreme example is the so-called Lex Tusk, clearly designed to remove the opposition from the playing field altogether. It's the culmination of 8 years of authoritarian system developed in Poland for those 8 years. And it may officially be called a committee on Russian influence, but it should be called a committee on Russian inspiration, because trying to make your political opponents disappear, that is exactly what Putin does in Russia. And if we want to prevent European Navalny's in the future, we need to act now.
Beata Szydło, a former Conservative Prime Minister and member of the European Parliament, rejected claims that her party is authoritarian. She pointed to the popular support it enjoys.
Praworządność nie jest łamana.
The rule of law in Poland is not being broken. We have no such problem in Poland. It is the opposition that has a problem with itself, and they cannot accept the democratic choice of Poles who gave power to the Law and Justice Party in 2015 and in 2019 extended this mandate. They have been attacking and starting the fights, unfortunately also using European institutions. So this discussion makes no sense. As a former Prime Minister and a European Member of Parliament from Poland who has received support from over 500,000 Polish citizens, I would like to say clearly, Mr. Commissioner, that Poland is not and will not be a whipping boy. Poland will not be terrorised by your attacks and punishments. Hungarian MEP Balázs Hidvégi accused the Polish opposition parties of putting pressure on their government in the European Union, where the European People's Party has a majority, by saying that they would not win the Polish elections to the European Parliament.
A word to my colleagues in the EPP, the PO, who are behind this latest attack. You are mistaken to think that if you fail to win elections at home, then the thing to do is to come here to Strasbourg or Brussels, get together with all kinds of radical left-wingers and attack your own country and your own countrymen here. It's not going to produce a majority for you, because the Polish people don't like this attitude, just like the Hungarians also reject this attitude. You should win elections based on your own merit. Stop attacking your countrymen here in Strasbourg in the European Parliament. It's the wrong thing to do.
The law would set up an investigative commission that could deliver an initial report on September the 17th, the anniversary of the Soviet Union's attack on Poland in 1939, when Moscow joined Nazi Germany in the destruction of the Polish state. Between tears and football chants rising from the crowd, family, close friends and supporters said their final goodbye on Wednesday to former Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi, one of the most controversial figures in the country's recent history. Political supporters and friends like art critic Vittorio Sgarbi remember their political journey with him, while common people express their sorrow in losing a man who managed during his lifetime to cover all fields from politics to business and sport. We were friends before he entered politics. I entered Parliament before him. I followed him on an inevitable mission, which was to restore democracy to Italy. The judicial action that started in Milan, like every judicial action, wanted to hit individuals, and instead they hit ideas and wiped out parties. At one point there was only the Communist Party. Crowds waving the flags of the AC Milan soccer club, which Berlusconi used to own, chanted "Silvio, Silvio," as his coffin was carried inside and outside Milan's Gothic cathedral, flanked by ceremonially dressed carabinieri with plumed helmets. A great man has died and I am sorry. He was a great entrepreneur and a human man, very sensitive to everything. Inside were some 2,300 mourners, including the women, politicians and businessmen who had accompanied the 86-year-old during his rise to power and riches. I came especially from Medina for Silvio. He was great and I believe that people like him will never be born again. I'm a big Milan fan. I used to vote for him and I salute him. Thank you, Silvio, for everything you've done for us. Marta Fascina, the 33-year-old politician who was Berlusconi's partner during his final years, wept alongside Marina, his eldest daughter, who is expected to inherit his media empire and, some speculate, even his political legacy. Berlusconi will be cremated and his ashes held in a mausoleum he built for himself and his family in the grounds of his villa outside Milan, a source close to the family told Reuters. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, have a good night and a better tomorrow.